Spurs fans. It's 36 hours since the end of Tottenham's Champions League campaign for the season, when we went out basically without raising a flag or even trying too hard against AC Milan on Wednesday night. AC Milan must have thought all their Christmases had come early when they look back on the performance that Tottenham put up against them. We never laid a glove on them. For a match that was so important for our season, after basically losing the previous two games in preparation for this one, then not to even turn up is absolutely criminal. And I want to say that the majority of the Spurs fans that we've talked to are just shaking their heads. We just don't know what's going on at our club. Up to now, it's been the debate has been Levy out and the ENIC out and whatever, and now it's turned radically to Conte out and what is going on. Because in all fairness to Daniel Levy, he doesn't pick the team. He doesn't give them the tactics. The tactics on Wednesday night. Well, first of all, were there any tactics? That's what we're thinking, because to manage 2 shots on target at home in a Champions League game and one of them in the 93rd minute is simply not good enough. But anyway, I'll come back onto the match later. I'm going to start with how the trip went for most of us Irish fans coming over. The Ryanair flight out to Stansted on Wednesday morning was 90% full of Spurs fans. It was just amazing. It was like a Tottenham Express, And same coming back last night as well. There's a lot of Spurs yesterday afternoon. A lot of Spurs fans on us. I must say, like the company and the crack and the camaraderie of the Spurs fans in London was brilliant. We met up with all the legends in the number 8 bar near the ground there. I'd like a big shout out to David Harrison, the Irish Hotspur, and his sidekick Jack Kinnicky. And it was great to meet Jack. I never met him before. Jack's a great lad and totally immersed in his Tottenham. And he's also got a ticket for Nottingham Forest tomorrow. So I hopefully get a better result, Jack. But all the other lads, I mentioned that Queen Ellie was there. Great to meet Ellie again. And Dermotron, of course, a sidekick on the channel. And also all the other lads, Ollie Freeman, Brian Carey, Graham, John, Brad Matthews. The list is, I won't say anymore because I'll only forget about them. It was great to meet you all. And it's just a pity it wasn't under happier circumstances. But anyway, back at the match, we were all seated in the south stand, nearly up at the back of it, with a great view, really good. And we were waiting for the teams to come out. And of course, the Champions League anthem is something that really gets your spine tingling. It really is something else, And it's just a pity. It seemed to inspire the fans more than it inspired the team, because we were just, that first half was eminently forgettable. AC Milan were controlling the game without really having to control it. It was just so easy for them, and they were tapping the ball around, playing very nice triangles in midfield that our boys just couldn't cope with. And again, any action that was down our end was the AC Milan attack on our goal. Now, second half, we knew things had to improve a bit. And for once, in fairness to him, Conte did make a reasonably early substitution when he took Ivan Perisic, who was abysmal, to be honest with you, in the first half. Took him off after about 53, 54 minutes. And he brought on Pedro Porro, switching Emerson Royal over to the left. And Porro immediately showed we've really got a good player here. He drilled in a couple of crosses. He really looked like he's up for it. And unfortunately, the rest of the players on the team weren't on the same wavelength as him. So it's just not. It's a good start for Porro. It's a pity it had to be on such a disappointing night, because the game went on. We did at least the energy levels and the passing intensity moved up a little bit in the second half, not a lot. AC was still well in control and looked very dangerous on the break on several occasions. In fact, they nearly scored. I think they hit the post. It was down the other end. We couldn't really see it right, but I think they hit the post near the end. But I think what summed up the night for Tottenham, and really I think this would have turned anybody who was on the fence about Conte staying or going, this would have tipped them over to the let's get rid of him camp, was when in the 83rd, 84th minute, after Romero had been sent off, he brings on Davinson Sanchez. Brings on a defender when we're chasing a goal, 10 minutes to go in the Champions League match, and brings on a defender who literally falls over when there's nobody near him. That was just the low point of the game. And while we did manage to get a good chance for Harry Kane right at the end, to be honest with you, if that had gone in, it would have been an injustice to AC Milan. We didn't deserve to get extra time. We were just so poor. you know. And then when you see the aftermath of the game when Richarlison comes out and makes a statement that he was told he was playing on Tuesday and then told he was on the bench on Wednesday. Now, okay, a bit unprofessional of him to throw his manager under the bus the way he did, especially with the record he's got, 2 goals in how many games for us. But like it probably sums up to me the feeling of the dressing room. As far as I can see, the dressing room are very unhappy with Conte's training methods. Apparently, what he does is when you come in the morning, you're told what the training regime is. And that's it. You're only told in the morning of the training. Other teams have their training schedules worked in a week in advance, so they can plan the rest of their lives around the training. But that doesn't happen at Tottenham, which is very unpopular apparently with the squad. And it seems to me that it's not really the team who are unhappy with that; it's other members of the staff. So Conte looked to me like a guy that he doesn't get Tottenham. I think that's the best way of putting it. Mauricio Pochettino got Tottenham. Even Nuno probably got Tottenham. Conte hasn't. I don't think he understands that we like to play attacking football. We want to be on the front foot. We don't like to be defending on the home games. And that's not the Tottenham way. and to be honest with you, when we went down to the bar after the game to hang around a bit because our taxi wasn't coming for an hour or so, the boys that were still in the stadium were singing Mauricio Pochettino songs, which shows you where the feeling is at the moment. I don't think I think there's a low percentage of Spurs fans that want Antonio Conte to stay. And we were checking our phones every 5 minutes, all Wednesday night and all Thursday morning, as he had Conte been relieved of his duties. Then we hear he's taking the press conference today against for the Forest game tomorrow. That will be very, very interesting to see what he has to say. And the questions going to be asked are going to be pretty sharp, I'd say. So he won't be able to bluff his way out of this one. Who's going to come in? Well, you know, the bookies' favourite is Mauricio Pochettino to come back. I have mixed feelings on that. I love Pochettino. I think he'd be a great manager for us. But the reservation I have is there are still too many of the players that were here the first time around at the club, and they were instrumental in getting him sacked the first time. What's that going to be like if he does come back? Is he going to have a relationship with these guys? Is he going to bury the hatchet? Is he going to let them get on with it? Excuse me. We'll have to wait and see. Other than Pochettino, really, I mean, there's talk about Postecoglou, that's the wrong pronunciation, the guy up in Celtic, who's a good manager. I wouldn't say no to him. Brendan Rodgers, definitely say no to him. Don't want him in any other place. Thomas Tuchel, do we want another Chelsea manager? We've had enough of them in the past. And who else has been mentioned? Thomas Frank from Brentford, he wouldn't be a bad one. And Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique might be a dark horse, I'd say. He could be a very good manager for Spurs. But we'll just have to wait and see. I get the feeling that if we win tomorrow, Conte will muddle along for another while. If we lose tomorrow, I think the overwhelming public voice is going to be he has to go, and Levy will have to listen, because we cannot limp into the rest of the season with a lame duck manager. And that's what's going to happen. We need a new manager bounce, because we've Newcastle and we've Liverpool breathing down our necks now for the Champions League place. And to be honest with you, what's the point in getting the Champions League? This is what's been said quite a bit over the last 48 hours. What's the point in getting Champions League if we're going to do the same thing again next season with no squad build, and we're not going to get as far as we did this season, even get knocked out in the group stages? We've got to speculate on that team and get new players in, and quick. Anyway, that's about it. It was an experience to see Tottenham Hotspur. It's the first real full live night match I've been to, and it was. It's a pity the atmosphere wasn't great. I have to pay a big tribute to the AC Milan fans. They were brilliant. I mean, they kept singing the whole time, and they must have brought, I don't know how many placards they brought with them. Every time we looked at them, there was a different placard being held up. It's different. They do things differently in Italy, but fair dues to the fans. And as a light-hearted moment, we were in the club shop before the game anyway, and we saw these father and son with Milan scarves on them, and I could hear they were talking English. So we said we're going to have a chat with them and see what they were doing and what they thought, you know. And it turns out they're from Westport here in Ireland, and they were sitting in the Milan end. They lived in Milan years ago and still follow them all over the place. So that was great. You know, Milan have a supporters club on the west tip of Ireland. But anyway, that was it. Onwards and upwards. We need to win against Forest tomorrow. I mean, if West Ham can put 4 past them, surely we can as well. And it's just like all the money that was spent by Spurs fans, the expense and the weather, everything was against us over the last 48 hours, you know. I just know a personal experience. I got a flight back from Stansted yesterday afternoon. The flight took 40 minutes. and we were stuck on the ground for 45 minutes after we landed, waiting for a stand to put the plane up on. As a result of which I missed all my connections, so it was a long trip home. So it was just another fitting ending to the weekend, really. If it had all gone smoothly, it wouldn't have been Tottenham. Anyway, to say it again, lads, great to see all the Spurs fans. If I missed anybody out, I'm sorry. They're all legends, and we all have the one thing in common: we want Tottenham to do well, and we want Tottenham to progress. But unfortunately, under the present ownership and management, that's not going to happen, I think. So we need a total refit. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Until the next time, come on, you Spurs.